continue with our classes. Okay, so here we're gonna look at the constructors, how to add constructors to our what classes. Okay, so with the previous video we look at what how to define a class and also uh, implement the object and then the reference and all the other what stuff relating to classes and object. We recommend you to check our previous videos on classes and then you get the basic understanding. Okay, so here I said we're gonna look at what constructor, and we say constructor is what, it's a different type of function which is created with some name as its what class name. What we mean is constructor is simply a function with a user defined name. Okay, so we have three types of constructors we're gonna look here. We have the default constructor or the no argument constructor, then we have the parameter constructor, and then we have the named what constructor. Okay, so constructor is basically what, calling the name of the class right inside the same class. That is the simple logic meaning. Okay, good. So let's begin first with implementing this kind of constructor that is the default constructor. Very easy. Okay, so to perform a default constructor, all you need to do is basically call the class itself inside the class. Very easy. So we call it just like a function, but we're gonna use the name of the class. Okay, so student, and then open and close parentheses, and then we have the curly bracket. So this is basically what our default constructor that we have actually defined here. So I can do something like print. What should I print here? Let me print something very simple. We say this is the default constructor. Default constructor. Okay, good. So this is what the default what constructor. Okay, so let's run this to see. No, but nothing will happen because it's wrong. I need to terminate it first and then define an object inside the main. So this, and then let me have an object here. I need to clear all this so that we can get, let me clean this so that we can actually follow. 1 2 3. Okay, I clear this. Okay, so I'm calling the what, the object of the default what constructor. So this is the object of object. I explained object in the other video, so you can cross check object in default constructor. So we have the name of what, of the class here, and then we need to have the variable to this. So we first call student and then the name of student, D is here, and then the name of the variable. So we want to call this std, yeah, a simple acronym for student, or let's say standing for student. So we can decide to bring the new keyword here, and it's perfectly okay. Good. So I terminate this. All right, new std. Okay, okay, so let me run this. Let's see what happens. Okay. std, and then we have a new print. Come in. Let me have everything cleared in here so that we can follow it very well. Okay, so um, student student is here. Then we have student id, student, and then student std dot. So std, this is to the new student, std dot student. Okay, sure, student. Oh, I'm using the same. Yeah, I think I should clear everything in here. Yeah, this is supposed to be one. Let me clear everything in here. Let's see, because I'm using the same word, the same variable up there. So it's working now. So we can see this is the default word constructor. Okay, I cleared the previous code because it's using the same word, the same variable. Good. And then we should also know that we cannot combine most of the three, let's say the three what default constructors in one class. So we need to check which one we are using so that we don't combine all the three constructors here. Okay, so like you can combine 1, 2, 3 in here. You need to select which ones you want to actually use. Yeah, especially the name constructor. Okay, so I changed the variable, and then now it actually prints out what this is, what the default constructor. Okay, but nevertheless, let's jump right into the other one, that is the parameter or parameterized constructor. Okay, so let me terminate it here. I think I should clear all this code. Let me clear all this code in here so that we can actually follow. This code is actually what in our previous video. So if you have not watched that video, kindly go back and then watch that video. Yeah, I want us to concentrate on the class constructors here. Okay, good. So now we are done with what? The default constructor. Okay, so uh, let me in here, let me add the parameter constructor. Okay, so here I'm gonna declare the parameter constructor, and it is pretty much simple. It's just the same as this, and then we have parameters in here. So here we can have two parameters in here inside. Yeah, we can have, oh, how am I typing this way? Here, string, string, and then probably string str, that is a string, and then another what, another parameter, that is int age. Okay, yeah, so let's say we have two argument in here, that is the parameter 1 and then 2. So if we call this kind of constructor, we need to also pass in the values of this word parameters. Okay, so we say print out, but here we need to know, we have to actually print out this. Okay, so we will say print out, or I would say str, or let's say the name is, and this is will be assigning a value to this right in the main. So just like this, the dollar sign, and then we call the value in here. Okay, perfect. So inside this we can have the second parameter also called here. So age, this will be age. Okay, so the age is, the age is, so all right, age here. Perfect. Okay, so in order to call this parameter constructor, we need to call this in the main, and let's say beneath this I'm gonna have the parameter one beneath here, and let me comment this so that you know exactly. Okay, then here we'll take the value. Okay, and then the value, since the first one is a string, it needs to be in a quote. Okay, so we say this is Daniel, and age a string, so there's nothing wrong with that. And then we have 32 as what, as the age of the what, the parameter constructor. Okay, good. So this we have okay, let's see, std1 isn't used, std1 isn't used. Okay, why it's not used? Because we have not actually assigned or have an object of this class, and then so what we have to do is to use std what, std2 here is equal to this, or we can do std1 and then we add what, the parameters in here. Okay, so I'm doing this because I want us to see why this is not working. Okay, let me comment this, and then I see student std Daniel. This is okay, good. So I still have this one in here. Okay, let me comment this, let me comment that, and comment here as well. Okay, so I try again. Okay, perfect. So now it worked. Okay, so why was it giving us an error? It was giving us an error because I said we cannot combine what, some of the what, some of the constructors. Okay, so if you are using one, you need to choose one what at a time. Okay, so first I was combining both the what, the default constructor, that is this one, and then what, the parameterized what, constructor, which does not work well. So it's, you choose one in a class. Okay, so that is why I commented this one. Okay, so the last one is gonna be the name what, name constructor, name constructor. Okay, so let me do that here, name constructor, Perfect. So name constructor is basically a user defined constructor. So for example, we're gonna have mm, what should we have? We're gonna have something like this. Let me start with the name constructor. Okay, so we're gonna have student. Okay, that is the name of the class, and then we add the name that is user defined name. So let's state this. For example, we're gonna call it name what, named construct. Okay, or name const. This is user defined. You can use any name here, it doesn't matter. Okay, here you can use any name of your choice. That is name const, right? So this is constructor, just to depict what we are doing. And then for the name constructor, we can add the parameter as well. That is, so for example, we add in a string, and a string of, probably we're going to do something, so we call it branch. Okay, then inside this, inside the name constructor, I'm gonna print something out, but I will define that up there. Okay, so we said branch. This branch, let's say, let me call this, instead of calling a branch, let me call it a course. Okay, course. Okay, good. And then here I'll have my print statement, and this print statement will call the value of this course, which will be defined in the main up there. Okay, good. And then I go to the main. The main, inside the main, I'm gonna have an object of the class, and this will be an object 3. Okay, good. And I'm calling the class, but in the parameter, in the named constructor, we need to also refer to the name of the constructor in our what, in our class, just like this. So I copy everything here and then replace it with this. Very easy. I terminate. But this needs to be what, the value. So I said a course. So for example, I can say that programming, that programming, that programming. Perfect. Okay. Let's run this and see what happens. I did not comment this. Name constructor. Okay, so I need to comment this for us to see. Okay, so name constructor, and then we have defined this. Okay, so let's look here. Here we've been able to combine both the what, the name constructor, and then the parameterized constructor. But for the what, the default constructor, we were not able to use it with the parameter constructor. So we should take note of that. You might not be able to combine this and that, or that at this in the same function, so you need to pay critical attention to that. Okay, so this is what our name constructor in class, and this is a parameter or parameterized what, constructor, and this is commented, so you see this is what, our default what, constructor in our that program. Okay, so this is basically the differences between the default constructor, the parameter constructor, and the name constructor. And this is pretty much simple. when we can have several of the name constructors, I can have several of this with different names. So we can take, it can also take more parameter here and a different what assignment on top of the main what inside the main function. Good. So this is actually the end of this video, and then we will going to add we're going to add other aspect of classes in the next video. We recommend you to subscribe to Tech Now TV and then turn on the notification bell. Peace. I'm out.